Hello, greetings. Welcome into the First Day Pod. Sorry, I was just doing another podcast before this. I had to switch gears into First Day Pod mode. We're back. We've been off for 2 weeks. We apologize for the slight absence. We are human beings. You guys know that about us. We don't always do things the way we hope they will be done. But we do have a special guest today, right, Leanne?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm really glad to have him on. This is going to be a good one, I feel like.
Yeah, it's another guy with the same last name as you. It's so
I know.
cool.
We have finally completed. We've gotten all three brothers on the show. We've had my brother Matthew on before as a counselor. He's done a lot of good work. And now we're going to have my other brother, youngest brother, Joshua Govier, is joining us live from Georgia. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Pretty exciting. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. Way better than I used to feel.
Yes.
I bet. Yeah. Why is that?
Well, as you know, I had triple bypass surgery in November. Got caught with coronary artery disease, and since then I've gotten away from everything fast food, anything fried, anything like that, and I've down 70 pounds within the last 4 months.
Wow.
Fantastic. That's fucking great. Oh my God, I swore on the show. I'm not supposed to. Sorry. I'm switching gears from the other show.
You're good. And I've also, I took my A1C because I'm a type 2 diabetic. I took my A1C from 11.4 in November to in February, I was at a 5.5.
Wow. That's incredible.
So, okay.
Standard range for the average person is between 4 and 6. Diabetics is between 6 and 7. So,
okay.
Congratulations. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't been easy. Haven't got away from sugar completely because it's in just about impossible. But focused on low sugar, low sodium. And then, I've been just doing exercise. The biggest thing is that I have at 8 o'clock every night, I quit nothing after 8.
Really?
The only thing I'll have is water. Gives your body time to process everything. And I've actually done that, gone to sleep, woke up the next day, stepped on the scale, and I dropped 2 pounds.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely takes a lot of determination. I can tell you that.
Yep. We know. Mike and I know because we do not have it in us right now. Well, what? Mike is. I know you're doing well. I do not have it in me.
You don't? I'm doing it every day. I'm trying and working, and I have an organizational structure set up with my counselor that we're still trying to make a reality, but it takes time, and you can't be so hard on yourself, Leanne.
Correct. So I have a question, Josh. Do you, when you say that you're done eating at 8, what time do you usually go to bed?
It does vary.
Okay.
I'm the kind of person that can function off of 3 hours of sleep. So, depending on what I'm doing that day, I'm in school to get my bachelor's in software development, which I'll be done here in August.
That's so exciting.
So I'm looking forward to that. But I try to go to bed by at least midnight, 1 o'clock. Now, don't get me wrong, I get cravings between then, but I try to find other things to do. Keeps your mind busy, so you're not just sitting there, what they always say, idle hands will idle mouths do the same thing. So.
Yeah. Because that's what my question was going to be is, they say like 3 hours before, but I remembered you being a late bird. And so I was like, oh gosh, like how long are you going and how hard does it get later in the night when you've been now like 5 hours without eating?
I do got to say, I'm the only one in my house who will probably not snack anymore. And it's really hard because I was I'd be up till 3 a.m. or something, and next thing you know, I'm like having a snack that I'm eating breakfast or something, a couple hours later. So just packing it on. So
Oh, what's Garkin? Who's
Oh,
that?
that's
That Diesel?
No, that is not Diesel. Diesel's a lot deeper than that. Actually,
That's
is
my
that?
dog.
Oh, your
Sorry.
dogs. Oh,
Oh, that's yours?
we have guest dogs currently,
Gracie.
so and we've got guest dogs, so we've got more than our normal than we have. So, but anyways, yeah. So it's just it definitely takes focusing and like you got to remind yourself what the overall goal is some days. So
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Chris says
huge.
that's impressive. 5 hours after dinner and no food, only water. There you go.
yeah.
Sounds
Hi,
like
Chris.
Hey, Chris. A lot of people are catching on to it. If you want to contribute in the live stream chat, you're free to do so. YouTube.com/firstdaypod. Or if you're on Facebook Live, you can connect through there. But we prefer that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and help the channel grow. And don't forget 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Spotify has 5-star reviews available now. All you got to do is click on the star, give us 5. We are live here with my brother Josh Govier. He had a triple bypass last November. And since then, he's lost almost 70 pounds. And he is on his way. Still challenges to be met. A lot of work to be done still. He understands that. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. But Josh, you did mention that you can operate on 3 hours sleep. And we're doing a book right now called The Sleep Revolution in our book club. Right, Leanne?
Correct.
There it is, right there.
Yes.
The book's got some issues in terms of depth and, too many antidotes from celebrities, but that doesn't matter because the basics of sleep hold true. And one of the tenets of the books that makes a lot of sense, always has to me, is the people who think they can function on a, 3 hours, 4 hours, even 5 hours of sleep are often living in a situation where it eventually catches up to them and they start to realize like, wow, I thought I had it under control. Like in this example, the book, Ariana Huffington wrote it and she collapsed, and she provides several other examples because they were working so hard and grinding so much and relying on 2 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep a night. And I think there's a lot of benefit now based on science data too, that getting a good night's rest, 6 hours at least, will make a difference in our cardiovascular health and our brain function. And I just think that is so crucial. And I respect that other people don't need as much sleep as I do, but I think Leanne's learning a lot from that now too, right, Leanne?
I am. And the even 6 hours.
Leanne's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, even 6 hours is not good. I mean, yes, we can. There's a difference between like, yes, you can function, but like, can your body function optimally? And so, yeah, I would highly recommend that, like, getting which is okay. Part of what I'm fascinated by is that you're not getting your sleep and you're still able to lose your weight, because a lot of the time, because you're only getting 3 hours of sleep, your body is going through so much, like it's producing cortisol and it's producing all this because it is stressful.
Yeah, but he's
on your
still
body.
burning. He's taking in less than he burns. So
Right.
That's a win-win.
No. That's awesome. But the other thing is when I don't get my sleep, I'm extra hungry and I make poor choices. So just the fact that you're able to do that is really impressive. But yeah, I do agree. We do need to start focusing on our sleep too.
That does. Leanne, I do say that on less sleep, yeah, you do definitely feel more hungry because your body is looking for that nutrient to kind of kick. Now, I can function off of 3 or 4. I mean, I also have sleep apnea, so I have a CPAP that I use. It has an app. It kind of tracks your sleep. Even if I go to bed at midnight, I'm still really only getting, 3 to 4 hours, if that, of good sleep. So it's not even if you fall asleep there, but that light sleep, REM sleep, is what really helps your body,
Yes.
recover. But even if I am a schizophrenic as well, so that, well, they refer to it as schizoaffective, which is something different, but it's definitely a challenge on top of that. But I've been dealing with sleep for a long time, and actually a lot of my doctors have said that not everybody. I mean, you say at least 6 hours to 8 hours of sleep. Definitely say get as much sleep as you possibly, well, in a reasonable amount of sleep. But a lot of my doctors say that not everybody gets that. Everybody actually, their bodies function differently. So you can actually, there are people who function off
Mm-hmm.
4 to 3 hours of sleep and they function just fine. Now, if you do that for months and months and months on end, yeah, eventually you're going to crash and you're going to sleep for 8 to 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That happens. Also, according to an old doctor of mine, um, after 72 hours of no sleep, your body will, or your mind will start to actually literally go insane.
Wow.
However, your body builds a failsafe into that to where you'll take what they call micro naps and you won't even know it. So basically, a blink of an eye, your body actually shuts down and you
Wow.
get that sleep. It's not a whole bunch, but it's your body's way of at least getting you, a couple seconds here, a couple seconds here. You don't even realize it that it happens. It's literally a blink of an eye.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
that's been another struggle, is dealing with mental illness, dealing with weight loss, because it can throw you off quite a bit. I still torn. They want me to get gastric bypass.
Okay.
Um, but my concern with that is with my mental illness. If you have gastric bypass, um, and you slip up, like on a diet, you slip up. Well, on a diet, normally, okay, there are some repercussions, but they're not severe necessarily. With gastric bypass, they can make you worse off than you were if you
Mm.
slip. So you can gain extra weight, you can cause extra medical problems, mental health problems, et cetera, et cetera. So I've had doctors on both sides of the board. Some agree with me that that I'm not a good candidate. Others think it's one way or the other. It needs to be done for me to live till I'm, past 40. So
May I ask why if you're still losing right now and you're changing your lifestyle, why are they suggesting that you need to have the surgery?
because it's protocol through. I'm a disabled vet. So I use the VA for my healthcare,
Okay.
and the VA has certain protocols they follow, and then this is what they recommend as a plan of action. Because normally, people who, even if they have triple bypass, they normally don't, do what I did. A lot of them, they get home from the hospital and they do a little bit in the hospital, but when they get home, they get lazy, sitting around, they're watching, The Price is Right, whether, you know, um, and they're not just motivated. So um, it was kind of like, you got to do something. So when I got home, like the first day I got home, I went for a walk and I walked down the street and back. And then I started to increase it. And then, like, a couple days later, I literally walked the entire neighborhood. And then, I started that. Now that I'm back to work, it's been a couple of months because I'm only 4 months post op. So I find other ways because I'm working. I don't have all that luxury. So I've actually used virtual reality. The Oculus
Mm.
actually has virtual, has like a game called Beat Saber, and
Oh,
the Oculus will actually keep track of how many minutes you're exercising, and it also keep track of your calorie burn.
cool.
So, and the Beat Saber doesn't seem like much, but like you're moving your arms and you're waving around and you're dodging back and forth. So you're actually getting your body up and going, and over a period of time that's beneficial. And it's fun.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but definitely on the same note with my mental health, there's been a lot of things that have helped me. Um, finding situations that I can relate to helps me helps with my mental health, because then I know it's not just me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I deal with a lot of different issues being kind of schizophrenic. There's a lot of different things that come with it. But I actually came across I'd recommend checking it out. It's free if you have the Oculus. It is called Goliath. It's a
Okay.
small little video game, but it's based about Goliath was I believe a code name that he used, but he was a schizophrenic, but he found that online video games kind of helped with his mental illness, got him away from all the other stuff that comes with being a schizophrenic. So he found a sense of community and things like that in playing online games. So, and it takes you through his journey in this game.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it's interactive. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Wow, man, that's pretty wild. So that's a benefit big time. There are so many new tools and ways for us to maximize our overall well-being and potential now. We're living in a lucky time for sure. And we're talking live with Josh here. If you guys have any thoughts or comments, the live stream chat is available to all of you. Josh, you lost almost 70 pounds. You've talked about some of the challenges. What about fear or doubt? Do you have concerns that you will not be able to continue with this plan? Are there pitfalls that you're trying to watch for that you already have prepared yourself to be cognizant of?
Yeah, definitely. And not only was I the nighttime snacker, but I also
Nighttime snacker.
it also wasn't just like, okay, we'd make spaghetti or something like that for dinner. I used to be like, okay, I'd have one gigantic plate and then I'd be back for another. Like it just part of it was whatever I was dealing with mental health wise was kind of in a sense dealing with food. It was comforting. So I've really had to be cognizant of focusing on, okay, this one bowl of food is enough. And I have to tell myself that literally when okay, hey, say when. This is when. So and I don't nobody else in my house, they all eat still same food they did before. My wife is a big person on sweets. So my kids love sugar. They're kids. They love all kinds of stuff. So so everybody else is doing it, and it's all around me. But I find that that's actually beneficial to me because it kind of no one else is regulating me, so it's all on me. However, the temptation is there, but if you can withstand temptation, you'll come out stronger on the other end. I know this because I've done it before. I quit smoking cold turkey twice. This past time, it's been 3 years. I just quit and put them down. First time was 7.5. But it's cold turkey, and it was I quit cold turkey this last time just before my youngest was born. So, just before we found out she was pregnant with her youngest. So it sounds weird to have temptation in front of you. A lot of times it seems like it's a drawback, but for me personally, not for everyone, but for me, it definitely kind of drives me because it's almost in a sense to me, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Can I do it? Now, I do have concerns that I'm not gonna win that challenge. That that I'm gonna every day. I feel like okay, I gotta just stick to. I gotta stick to what I'm doing. So in all honesty, I haven't really branched out to many different foods. I stay mostly with. I stick with salad. I stay away from. I found my biggest kicker was I love pepperoncini peppers. I love them. I used to eat a jar of them at a time.
Wow.
turns out three peppercini peppers has like 400 milligrams of sodium.
Ooh.
Which
Mhm.
now looking back in retrospect explains why my triglycerides were through the roof, caused my
Right.
cholesterol go up, caused my blood sugars to go up. It's just a vicious cycle. But since I've been on this, all my labs have been amazing. My cardiac doctor actually referred to me as this star kind of pupil.
That's
Because every
wonderful.
time I went back to him, I was like, and I overcome a lot of other issues. I was post-op. I ended up catching MRSA right after that, and then right after that, I caught the flu, and right after that, I got COVID. So
Oh my gosh.
this last 4 months has been I've just been sticking to it, but there's been a lot of challenges in just that short period of time. So
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations. That's like even more impressive. That's even because I know when I'm sick, then it's like that's all the excuse in the world. It's like, well, just this week while I'm getting better. So way to
yeah,
go.
Classic.
pushing to be active while you're sick is the other thing, because everybody's tried to exercise when they're sick. You're just like, yeah, nope, it's not gonna happen.
Mm-mm.
So
Nope.
Way to go. Way to
yeah,
go.
it's definitely not easy.
No, but you're seeing results. I'm sure that that helps. Um, do you think that your family may end up changing their ways too once you're kind of this, because it sounds like this is going to be a lifestyle for you. It's not really going to be a
It has.
marathon.
I think it's also at times definitely me and my wife have talked about, like, we've changed overall things. Now, I mean, they still have, their little snacks here and there, but we've overall as a family we've changed how we've ate, because otherwise we run into issues like if we wanted to order in or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay, where can I eat or something like that? And a lot of times I got to be like, "Hey, look, I got me. You guys want this? You go ahead and do that." But we've limited a lot of places that we'll order in from. I had to do a lot of research on different foods, and one food that I found that actually is helpful to diabetics. It's not the greatest on sodium levels, but it's supposed to be really good in small portions. Is actually kimchi.
Mm.
Kimchi is
Ooh.
actually good, and it kind of gets your metabolism going. It's good for diabetics to lower blood sugar, but in small portions. Like you eat a big portion of it, doesn't really matter.
Right.
The other thing is, and you got to watch how much. But I don't drink soda. I don't like. I drink the only tea that I drink decaffeinated black tea, unsweetened, because in the South here, sweet tea is a big thing. But I
Mhm.
do iced tea and then green tea, but not like if you buy the bottle of green tea, it actually has less beneficial effects for you.
Oh, really?
If you make it like you actually steep it, on the stove, and then add water and everything, it gives you antioxidants. It actually helps your digestive system. It'll help you if you're having troubles with like constipation or anything like that. It's actually I did a lot of research to find out these things are beneficial. Um,
Awesome.
and they give me a little bit of pep with the green tea. That's my treat. It's green tea. So used to be a
Nice.
soda, or I used to pound back 20-ounce Red Bulls like they were candies. So
Oh, Josh.
um,
Oh boy.
so yeah, it's a complete turnaround from even probably about a year ago.
Amazing.
But it's been a long road. Mental health has made it a big issue in the past, but I set in my mind that this was going to happen. Um, the same thing as can be said about me going to school. I've been going to school for the better part of a decade, working full
Yeah.
time, and and I had to take time away to kind of get my head right. And then this last time, it was just like my whole goal was to, even if I don't use it, it's just the fact, the accomplishment that I did, I accomplished this task, whether it happened or not. And it's kind of, I guess it's kind of been my mindset overall, just to see if I can accomplish this task. And if I accomplish this, can I do this? And just keep building on it. So
that's beautiful. Because it builds integrity. I was listening to a thing earlier today, and it was, we have integrity with other people a lot of the time, but we don't have that integrity with ourselves. So we constantly are, I'm going to do this. And then you can talk yourself out of it and you don't do it. And you don't think it's a big deal, but it really is. It's, playing in your psyche that you're just like, that's where the I'm not good enough comes in. And it's not because you're just feeling bad about yourself, because you know that you're not stepping up to the things that you're doing. So I think that's amazing, Josh. I think that incredible.
I definitely agree. I found that not everybody, I thought everybody just dealt with everything head on. That's kind of how I deal with it. It's just, everything's head on. I found out through the years that a lot of people, they don't. A lot of people find ways to deny it, or they deny it exists. It's over here. So if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. But everything I put is one thing in front of the other. I've gone through quite a bit. I've actually spent time in a mental health facility. And I've had to go through different things, and I've talked to a lot of different mental health professionals, which a lot of them pick up little things here and there. When it comes to mental health, I think the biggest thing is that you got to realize it's you that got to do the work. You can have a therapist, they can help you through it, but ultimately you got to do the work.
Wow.
So
that's a huge, huge message. Absolutely. And that's
No doubt.
a big difference in why some it helps and some it doesn't. It's not necessarily just the therapist. It's us not wanting to do the work.
Wow, that doesn't sound like us. I mean, there's so many ways to avoid things. It's incredible. It's incredible how much avoidance we can do, but there's really a lot to be said. Oh, kimchi is a probiotic. That's what Mom says. That's right. Okay, very cool.
Hey,
That's
Michelle.
a good thing. Hey, and I just think we could be our own worst enemy. And the things you're saying, Josh, make a lot of sense to us, because I mean, what do you do when you have painful moments that come up in life? Because you talk about the schizotypo stuff too, and how that impacts you. I think we should talk a little bit more about that. How are you able to monitor that? Because one of the things about the disease or the disorder too is you can have a struggle with monitoring and maintaining your own sense of what's happening, a schedule, routines. So how do you overcome that challenge? Because that's a big one.
Well, there are a lot of different things, and some things I'm better at than others. When it comes to schizoaffective, which schizoaffective and schizotypal are actually different, but they're on the schizophrenic scale. One is basically, most of the time you mix bipolar with schizophrenia. It's usually where schizoaffective comes in. So you're dealing with two major mental illnesses all jammed up in one. One thing that I've had to struggle with is I have very, very vivid dreams at times, and so much so that when I wake up, I'm not sure whether I'm still in the dream or not. So you have to do grounding things. You have to find things that ground you. And in my case, I have a very vivid imagination. So in my dream, everything that might seem a normal thing, like a picture on the wall or something like that, that'd be in my dream. Everything is, I deal on a logical basis with everything. So everything has to reasonably make sense, even in a dream. So if it doesn't make sense in a dream, doesn't seem logical, I'm going to pick up on it and know that it's not real.
Right.
So we've had to get creative with like grounding techniques, and that's been a big issue for me, is dealing with that. And then definitely a lot of paranoia goes into it, so that plays into paranoia can play into having trust problems, trusting people, because you're paranoid of everyone. And some of it's from past experience, some of it's, you know, way out in left field. But those things that with my physical health and my mental health has been a big issue. Now I also have, like, on the same token, I have a lot of physical issues that affect my mental health as well. I've got, neuropathy, a couple of these other things, and I've got like a lot of back problems. I got carpal tunnel, a lot of these different things, and they just build on each other. And they can, when you're in that much, you're a person like me who's in chronic pain, and especially in my case, nothing you can take for it, because we talked before on the show about like the opioid issue, right? So people who are addicted to it, that is what that is, but it makes it harder for people who are in chronic pain. Sometimes it helps people, but the opioids are only a short term. They're not a major fix. So I've had to go through different therapies for that, but it definitely takes a toll on your mental health, especially if you're dealing with a major mental illness, and then you're adding, when you're in a lot of pain and you don't have anything to help, take the edge off, it causes even worsening depression,
Sure.
and everything else, and you feel like you're like, blah,
Yeah.
I was taking, anyone who's been in the military, if there's anybody out there who's a veteran, ibuprofen is pushed by the VA big time. I can't take it anymore. I took it for so long that I've had issues where I've had to have endoscopes done in my stomach, and it's actually eroded my stomach lining.
Oh, man.
So
Really?
I can't take ibuprofen. I can't take. I can take Tylenol in just enough doses. I can't take naproxen or anything like these things. I can't take it. So a lot of it is dealing with that pain and then trying to be productive as well. So that plays big part into the mental health, because you're like, all right, today I'm gonna be awesome, and then you wake up and you're like, everything in me hurts.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, I can't even sit up, because my back is so bad. I have to roll out of bed. I can't sit up like a lot of people. I have to roll out of bed, otherwise I'm gonna put more stress on my back, and get some structural issues with my back. So
Yeah.
um,
Hopefully that'll get better. The more weight you could take off too. It might be a slight improvement, right?
you definitely feel it when the weight comes off, because you'll
Oh,
actually be in you'll actually be in worse pain for short periods of time, because your body is getting used to less weight being on you.
really?
Will that
Yeah.
be a long-term thing though?
Um,
Or will you readjust?
I think your body adjusts over time. Like, I've just now been able to, like, bringing in a lot of the groceries and things like that, and doing a lot of like, I'm set to try to get into do cardiac rehab, which focuses on cardiac rehab focuses on diet, but since I'm already there, a lot of it is just building my strength back. Like, anyone who's known me, I've always had huge forearms, and I've had like, my calves have always been like this, like small tree trunks. Well, they're not that way anymore. Mike knows, being my brother, I've always had a big head. My head, according to my wife, is about half the width it used to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot smaller. And I think a lot of that is fluid that I'm no longer taking in. I'm making sure that because I'm one of those people who I hold water. So if you drink 8 ounces glass of water a day, I'm gonna have extra water, and I'm gonna hold it. It's not gonna all come out of me.
Oh, wow.
So then I'm gonna kind of swell. So got to make sure on my water intake as well that I don't over hydrate. So
Gosh.
it's definitely been a challenge. Mental health wise, it's been a long road. Sadly, with schizoaffective, there are some ways to manage it, but in my case, I'm what they call medication resistant. So medications don't help me. I've been through CBT therapy, DBT therapy, and there's, I mean, I could tell you all about basically what CBT therapy and DBT therapy are all about.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, it's kind of like, the best way I explain it in my situation is, you can have all the tools to build a bridge, you can have all the materials, but if you don't know how to build the bridge, you're still not going to build the bridge even with all the tools. So I've had to like kind of go through this with a lot of my mental health professionals at the VA, and they've really just the only medication I take for mental health when I need it is I take Klonopin or clonazepam.
Mm-hmm.
I take that, and the only reason I take it every now and then, I try to take it the least amount as possible. So I try to deal with as much anxiety and everything as I possibly can, because clonazepam can cause like early onset Alzheimer's.
Oh, okay.
So if it's taken every day, so like I've had to find a lot of alternative things even for my physical pain. Like I found aqua therapy definitely helps me because it takes the weight off your joints. I've gone and done acupuncture. Doesn't work for everybody, but there's alternative situations. You know, I know the one thing I definitely have to focus on because I'm trying to stay active is I have a cane now that I have because of my neuropathy, and I'm not as strong built up yet as I was. So it helps to keep balance. So because I've had issues of falling in the past. So
falling.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you can't feel your feet, Mike, unless you're looking at everything, if you close your eyes and you're trying to stand still and you can't feel your feet up to say your ankles, it's kind of hard to, you know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're looking at everything and then your mind's trying to process to counterbalance everything. So
yeah. Okay. Man, that's so much that you have going on physically and mentally, and yet you seem to be very lucid and organized, and you know what you want and what to accomplish. And I think people should be aware that Josh didn't just show up this way. You know, there's been a lot of experiences and pain that he's had to go through and that he's still going through to get to this point. He's like you. He's the textbook definition of somebody who's trying to overcome odds that are self-inflicted, but also environmentally and genetics possibly, or any type of challenge you can think of that you're saying to someone out there, hey, you know what? There's just nobody out there who understands me. Those people, you people out there, Josh is like you. He's like me. I'm like him. Leanne, we're all sharing in similar challenges. They may have slight variations based on what they are, but the human experience is all connected. And that's why we do the show. And that's why we have Josh on, because we want you to be able to relate to others out there, and hopefully others will relate to you, Josh. And through that relation, progress, improvement, clarity can be gained. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I definitely will say that, I didn't really focus to really look back on it, but in my early 20s, late teens, dealing with my mental health, which has pretty much been there forever. It's something that happens when you're young. It kind of sticks with you, middle adolescence, or younger. But a lot of times I went undiagnosed, and so it was just no one really knew. It was kind of under the radar. I was trying to be normal in school, but I knew that I wasn't, but I was trying to fit in. So, like everyone else. So, in my teenager to my early 20s, I did a lot of excessive drinking, probably to the point where, I may call myself an alcoholic. But I can say I haven't touched a drop of alcohol in at least 5 years. So, at least. But I've also, becoming a parent was a real big thing for me, and changing a lot of ways, because if you're a single individual, you really don't have to worry about necessarily anybody else but yourself.
Right.
As a parent, you gotta keep people alive. So, dealing with mental illness, and I got to tell you, the biggest challenge of all is not letting my mental illness really get put on my kids.
How do you mean?
That's so, like, basically, I deal with everything that I have mental illness. I deal with it separately in house. So if, like, the kids are around, I put that all aside and I compartmentalize. And so it's okay. We're dealing with the kids. It's parent time. I got all this I need to deal with, but this is for when they go to bed or whatever. I got to deal with it. So, my oldest deals with ADHD, so there's a lot helping him, and there's a lot I can relate with. I was very socially awkward when I was younger. I still am, to be honest with you. Not a huge people person, but he's going with his own struggles, and so I'm trying to help him with that, being the best that I can, keeping my issues aside for a different time. Most of the time I'm good at it. There's some times where it kind of mingles, but I try to mitigate as much as possible, because I'm not trying to put that burden that comes with that on them, because then they're going to feel overwhelmed, and that's going to something that they're dealing with my stuff instead of, so I try not to put that as much as I possibly can.
Now, does he know of what you go through? Like, is he aware?
He knows that I deal with things, but not to a full extent. It's not really something. I mean, he's not at that age where it's really something we need to discuss yet, and it's not. I'm not as I'm not as bad off as I probably eventually will be when I lose the ability to fully keep everything, compartmentalized. It'll probably deteriorate as I get older.
What do you mean?
So it's kind of like, you can hold something off for so long, you can work through it, but eventually with schizophrenia, eventually, and I'm genetically predispositioned for late onset Alzheimer's. So when Alzheimer's eventually starts to possibly kick in, you're going to mix that with schizophrenia, and that's just going to be a whirlwind that may not be something that, without, if they come with the medication at the time that you can handle that, eventually, your faculties will only get you so far for so long.
Oh, I didn't know that you're genetically predisposed to that. I mean, I'm your brother too, so I figured I would know something like that. Where's that come from?
It was actually through 23andMe I found that out, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, there's certain genes that, I mean, it's not going to say that it necessarily will,
Sure.
but you have genetic markers. Just like I have genetic markers for coronary artery disease, I found out recently, which I kind of beat them to the punch.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things, if I focused on the negatives that came out of my genetics, out of the genetic test, the DNA genetic testing, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys and have a smile on my face at this point. It's not like, oh, look at all this cool stuff. No, it's not a great report. It's kind of like getting a D in school. You're like, all right, I gotta figure out how I'm going to explain this. So, but there are a lot of things that are, and there are also other genetic markers for me and you being my brother, being that we're susceptible to because of our ethnicity. So that plays a part in it too. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to, but it plays a part genetically. So
it does. It definitely does. Wow. Yeah. I hope that people are taking notes here and absorbing what Josh is saying here. First Day Pod, of course, firstdaypod@gmail.com. If you want to send us an email and follow us, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leanne, what do you think of all this? Pretty wild, huh?
I think it's incredible. Like, one of the big takeaways that I'm taking from this is that you say it so nonchalantly, but I've been through this and I've tried this and I've tried that and I've done this. And I think that's the big thing, is that a lot of people, when well, same with me, but when you've got something, like you were saying, you can kind of like just deny it and whatever. You don't do the actual work that comes along with it. So the fact that, you're here is testament to you doing the work and it not always working out. But then instead of saying, oh, well, that was the thing that was supposed to help me, and I guess I'm just not like I'm not going to be able to be helped. And so then you just kind of like bury yourself in it. You just kept looking for the next thing. And I think that's really impressive. And when you're talking about the grounding, it's more difficult for you. So now you have to find different ways, where a lot of people would look at that like, I'm super creative. So I'm not going to be able to be grounded when I get out of that dream. And there's just nothing to it. And so we're just going to have to deal with it. You have to get creative and you try to figure it out. Josh, I'm very, very, very impressed with you. Like, I always have been, but this conversation, I didn't know how much you've been through to get you to where you are right now. So I'm just in awe of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One other thing I just want to mention, because you brought that up. A big thing I can tell you, just from like having mental illness and being, I have issues picking up social cues from people.
Okay.
Picking up, if someone's crying, I wonder why. Like, I don't have that empathetic response that everybody, would think you'd have. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering why. I can pick up on certain body language, but there's a disconnect there. Mm-hmm. Like my oldest brother here, Mike, can attest that the time I spent in the mental health facility, as the time I went in, as the time I came out, I did a lot of work, and it was like night and day. Yeah. I was definitely, when I went in, I was definitely a lot more angry outwardly angry than I was when I got out. I did a lot of, they always say you got to look in the mirror. You got to do that and actually look and not look away when you look. And as you were saying, Leanne, a lot of people will try something. Say, okay, well, I tried it. You tried one thing. Okay, well, I've been down the ringer. I tried this. It didn't work. Okay, so I'm back at square one. I'm going to try this. It is frustrating, but eventually you find certain things. Like for me, distractions help. They definitely help because they help minimize certain issues of schizophrenia. So,
What kind of distractions?
I actually have an electronic drum set that I have it's something to play music. Music itself soothes me when I listen to certain music. Certain music will kind of tame my mood depending on what it is. Sometimes, I'm listening to like heavy metal. Other times, like I'll listen to country music or I'll listen to, some grunge music, alternative. I listen to pretty much everything across the board. I find video games. I like to find video games that have a good story. Keeps my mind entertained. Sports games I like because they make you strategically think. So it helps. The more I find things that strategically keep my mind going because that helps me keep me on my P's and Q's
Makes
mentally.
sense.
So I give you one last example for I know because we're getting close to time, but
That's right. Good. Hey, look at you keeping it all organized. Well done.
But one of the strangest things it's not more. It's one of the strangest things. But I found myself with schizophrenia, you can get kind of lost, and in your mind, you can get to where you get to a point where you think you made everything up. So everything that is actually going on that you don't understand with the reality, you think you made it all up. So I remember one time I went into the video game store. I came out, was supposed to have a ride with me, and they had to go do something, and they came back. But I literally wandered a parking lot looking, and then when they came back, and I actually saw them, the time in between, I thought I made them all up. I thought I made everyone up. I didn't think they were real. Like, and gone through this. So I've gone through definitely hard times, but I found ways to mitigate and keep. It's kind of like that movie Inception, if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
You got to
Love
make
that
sure
movie.
that something is real. Or, they wake up a dream of the dream. That's kind of how I have to find my grounding issues because I've woken up, thought I woke up in a dream. I was still in a dream that I thought I woke up, but I'm actually a dream within a dream. So it's layered and it's definitely takes a lot of work and definitely trying everything from every angle.
I'm just going to ask just one last question because I've been wanting to ask about it. You said that you're working on trying to find things to ground you when you wake up. Have you found something that is helping right now or that has helped in the past?
In all honesty, it just kind of changed my mindset to if it isn't real, I'm just kind of gonna ride it because I'll know eventually if it is or it isn't. Something will point out, and a lot of times to me, it's the littlest things that I find that okay, this little thing is either makes it real or it's not. Like the whole situation. So, it's attention to detail on a lot of things for me. It's everybody who has schizophrenia doesn't necessarily operate the way I do, but I operate on everything is on a logical reasoning basis. So it has to reasonably and logically make sense.
Yeah.
So
That's handy. And it feels like it's what's interesting to me is I don't know how to say this, but what's really interesting is how peaceful you sound about the whole thing, because I would feel like there's a lot of fear, I would assume, if you're that confused, or you just at a point, like, were you ever feeling that way, that you were confused and it was scary, but now you're just more peaceful? It's coming across.
well, I've been dealing with this for quite some time now. I've been dealing with this since I've been dealing with it since probably that I've noticed it probably in my teens. And I'll be 38 this year. So,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was younger, it really used to I'd be like, oh, what? But, the more I've kind of come to the realization that I'm and my doctors have said there are actually about a 10% of people who are, or is it 1 or 10%, somewhere in that range, that are resistant to medication. So traditional methods for mental health don't always work. So you got to try to find other ways, or just, take it one day at a time. I had one doctor tell me before, I mean, a lot of people look at everything as a big, huge mountain. They have all these things in front of them. Well, the only thing you can really do is make that first step, and then you just work your way to the top. Because if you look at it all, you're not going to do anything. So you got to kind of just take it a little bit at a time. And not allowed to cuss on here, but anyways, basically, I had a doctor tell me, "Hey, look, I'm just throwing S against the wall. You scrape off what you want, and you pick up what what you can, and what works for you." So
You can say shit. It's okay, Josh.
okay.
Just using the F word bothers Leanne publicly, so I want to make sure I respect her. That's why I don't do it.
I can understand that, but it's just.
No, that message is huge. I think that's like a really great place to end, because not only with mental illness, or just in life in general, just taking that first step forward and then the next step. That's, yeah.
I actually, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just saying,
please.
I work in automotive currently. I have for 20 plus years. But I had this coworker who's looking at everything and just getting overwhelmed, and I actually had to take him aside the other day, and I'm like, "Look, man," I said, "we're all here to handle everything. You focus on this one thing, and then move to the next, and you just work through it, and then next thing you know, the day's going to be over." I said, "Don't worry about anything else. That's what all these other people are here for." So it's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. So
that's it.
That's great.
Yeah, I equate it to going on a 5-lane highway, and if you have to get off on that exit, you're not going to just go to the exit. You're just going to do the next lane, and then the next lane, and then the next lane, and then eventually you'll get to the exit. Like, that's the way that you do it. If you just went there, you'll never make it through the 5 lanes.
Unless you're from Detroit, and then you do the Detroit. You do the you put on your turn signal, and you just do 4 lanes at once.
True.
Yeah, that's true. There you have it. Well, this has been so fascinating, Josh. You've been very candid and open, and we really appreciate that, because that's what the show's all about. And I'm really hoping you people out there are taking some lessons, some valuable pieces of information that Josh has shared for your own life and your own benefit. He's my brother, and I love him, and I'm also very proud of him. Really impressed with what he has been able to do. The wake-up call from the triple bypass, of course, that was a huge thing that changed your life in a way. But it seems that being a parent and that event of having triple bypass, both those things have been massively impactful in a positive way. And that's what all of us, we don't need to have that to happen to us, but sometimes these events that seem catastrophic are a benefit. I've said it before about my own opioid use and substance use disorder. I see it as a positive in my life. as an experiential gain for me. So this has been great. Leanne, say goodbye to Josh. Tell him how great he was.
Oh, you really were. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and being so candid. And thank you for being at every show. I love you in the comments.
Yes,
I really
we
do.
appreciate your support, Josh.
Yes.
Can I say one more thing before we go?
No.
Sure.
Well, this is basically just I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyways, it's really just about, don't ever, any experience you have in life, everybody wants to say they may regret it, but every experience in your life gets you to the point where you're at, and it makes you who you are. So, I can say I don't always feel that I'm the greatest person, but there's a lot of people who say that I am. So, there's a lot of things in life I've learned that are good and then are bad. But it makes me who I am today. So don't ever regret any of the experiences in your life. Just take them and learn from them.
Oh my gosh.
There you
it's
go.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Josh. And thank you to all of you that were in the comments and that listened to us. And come back next week. We've got another guest. Really excited.
Yeah. We got more and more guests lined up
Mhm.
here. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Connect with the wonderful, wonderful community we're trying to build here. Book club, Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll send you a Zoom link if you want to be a part of it. Just email us, firstdaypod@gmail.com. Thanks to Josh. Thank you to Leanne, my co-host. I love both of you guys, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.